Hey guys, it's me again, and I'm here for another movie look back review. And today we're going to be reviewing The Incredibles. Yes, this is the Pixar movie that came out, I believe, in 2004, and a lot of people really claim it to be the one of the great Pixar films, and I it's maybe, it's maybe one of the few times where I actually do agree with the public. I mean, people really seem to really love this movie, either claiming it to be their favorite Pixar film or one of their favorites. And for me personally, I have to say that this is probably, I had to go look back. I had the Toy Story 1 and 2, and I think I gotta go look back on those because the Toy Story trilogy has always been such a great trilogy, and it's pretty much Toy Story is probably at the top with most people's list. I haven't seen it in a while, so I cannot really judge, but for me personally, I think The Incredibles is probably one of the most adult probably one of the most adult films that Pixar has done. I mean, this is a movie about a family. It's a movie about sacrifice. It's a movie about a lot of conflicts that happen. And pretty adult conflicts, if you ask me. But let's just get right down to the story for the few people who don't know it. It's a world full of just superheroes. How did they happen? Who cares? It doesn't matter. But it's a world full of superheroes, and Mr. Incredible is part of that superhero people, society, and he and Elastigirl decide that they want a family together, and they should settle down while also resuming hero work. But then the government starts to sue the superheroes, and they have to go under this government agency where they cannot perform any superhero work and have to live like normal people. And in the process, the Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl changed their names to Bob and Helen Parr, and they now have 3 kids: Violet, Dash, and Jack. And they're living an all around American style life, and they all seem to be cool with it, except for Mr. Incredible. He is going through his midlife crisis, like you do at any time in your life where you have to go through your midlife crisis. And he misses the glory days of having to go out and save people. And he gets assigned to this secret agency where he can go and do that, where he can stop villains from creating evil devices that could wipe out cities. But it turns out that this agency has a few secrets that unveil throughout the movie. So, as I stated before in my past reviews, this movie is probably I think it's underneath The Dark Knight and The Avengers as probably one of the best superhero movies that I have personally seen. And as for animated movies, probably one of the most child-centered adult films that I've ever seen. I've seen films where they address adult issues very seriously, go up to the forefront and address them, and then I see some films that touch upon it but never fully explore it. I think this film does it in the middle. I think it doesn't fully force the subjects that they talk about in here, but it doesn't like, shy away from them either. I mean, the addresses that it talks about is, family, midlife crisis, midlife crisis, marriage, and it really, it doesn't shy away from that, and it does, they do have conversations about it, and I really do like, from someone who thinks that animation is certainly something that does not just belong to kids, it can belong to adults as well. I mean, I think, the director Brad Bird has a true understanding of these topics that they're talking about, because Brad Bird is like, first of all, this guy, this guy directed The Iron Giant, which is another great animated film if you guys have never seen it. But he's a guy that really understands, like, relationships and stuff like that, and he doesn't put that to the sidelines too. This is a full fronted family here dynamic, and I have no trouble believing that Bob and Helen are husband and wife, and they got 3 kids who act like actual kids. So I have no problem with that. I mean, the characters in here are just, they're absolutely great. I mean, for it could have been just so easy for the kids just to be, just to have very little to no personality whatsoever, and they did give them personality. And it's a film that's centered around mostly the adult characters, and that's kind of, not typical of an animated film to do that. They normally focus on the kids or teenagers, but this goes into the adults, and there's a lot of adult talk in this movie. And a funny story, actually, I saw this when I was about 6. Had no idea what was going on. Had no idea what was happening, and I was like, I have no idea what's happening, and it was just, when I saw it, I was 6 years old. I was, I always wanted to see some, pretty imagery, I didn't care for characters or anything, stories or anything like that. Just give me some pretty imagery. And, I didn't get it back then, but I fully understand now. I fully understand. It's like, it's just, the subject it tackles, the messages that it gives to the audience, it's just, it's probably the most profound thing that Pixar has done with the issue of family, and that is saying something from a studio that does a lot of great work, and I would Pixar is one of those companies that, they could put out a film that looks absolutely marvelous and great, and either their stories can be really 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 inspiring and great, or just kind of meta. And the visual style for what they done here, I mean, it is like that typical comic. They tried to capture the actions of, like, whenever they had their action scenes, they capture it really well, like like with the superhero fights and stuff, they capture it well. And I would argue, like, bits of the animation are dated, and you could probably tell about that. I think mostly resembling the hair. Hair is the most difficult thing to do in animation, and I understand why it's so difficult to get hair down in animation. And it's not really all that fully fleshed out in here, but the first movie to come out in 2004, and for this being the realistic animation department, it's not bad. In fact, I won't consider the Incredibles the animation style in it bad. I will never consider that. It still holds up. And just like its story and characters, it still holds up. I mean, I really do enjoy, like, the parts of where, it does get serious, or the action starts to cover the full screen, and it's just, why are you why are you looking at my review right now? Go watch this movie. I actually saw this a few times to understand why people love this movie so much, and you know what, I finally do. I mean, this is probably one of the best superhero movies out there, and it's animated. So I'm just shocked that an animated film will get this high on people's mindset of when they think of superhero movies. And superhero movies don't have to go all that dark. This is what I'm talking about here. This is what I'm talking about. Okay? They don't need to go full on dark, because there are dark elements. I mean, there is the point where they mention genocide. I mean, seriously. But this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about with superhero movies and them being either too dark or too lighthearted. I think this one falls in the middle of that, and that's the connection with family. I think a family aspect is missing so much in these superhero movies. I mean, we got teamwork, which is fine, but we don't have the aspect of family, and that's what I want to see in a superhero movie. And also tackling these, subjects that, you don't really bring up in a kids movie, but I'm really glad that they did this. I'm really glad, and I'm really excited for the sequel that is coming out, and, Brad Bird's directing again. I really, really hope that it's, better than this one, because really, Brad Bird is one of those directors. I haven't seen Tomorrowland, and I've heard it got, it's visually gorgeous, but the story is just too much. But, Brad Bird hasn't done anything necessarily bad. I don't think he's just one of those directors to me that he can really do no wrong. So, I really hope that the sequel is just unbelievably great, and it's The Incredibles. What else can I say about it? It's one of Pixar's best films that they have put out. I mean, I would probably rate this I would probably rate this, it gets my rating of 9.8 out of 10, because it's just one of the best superhero movies that I've seen, and it's definitely one of Pixar's best films. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. I'm sorry if I rambled on with this review. I mean, it's just unbelievable to me of how much adult that you can get away with in a kids film, and not really be, that, and not really have it come forefront, but also not be in the shadow as well. And I really do enjoy that. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say. And yeah, that's it. And JC Animation Critic out, and awkward ending.